You ever wake up thinking it's going to be a normal Saturday, only to end up watching your neighbor's car get towed by the police while she screams about community bylaws? Yeah, that was my morning. All because Karen, our self-appointed HOA parking enforcer, decided to block my driveway with 4 bright orange cones like she was staging a crime scene. I thought I was just hauling some lumber that day. Turns out I was about to haul the entire HOA into chaos. It started around 8 a.m. Sunshine coffee in hand, music playing in the garage. I hit the button, the door lifts, and there they are, 4 cones perfectly lined up like soldiers guarding my own driveway. For a second I just stood there blinking, trying to figure out if I was hallucinating. Then I saw her, Karen Miller, marching down the sidewalk in her neon HOA vest, clipboard tucked under her arm, sunglasses so big they looked government-issued. She stopped at the edge of my driveway, hands on hips, with that smug little smile, the kind that makes your blood pressure rise 3 points per second. "Those cones are there for a reason," she said, like she was deputized by Congress. "The HOA has decided to restrict driveway access for oversized vehicles until compliance can be verified." I looked at my pickup truck, then back at her. "Karen, it's a truck, not a tank." She crouched down, whipped out a tape measure, and started checking the height like she was investigating a murder. 2 inches above the standard limit," she muttered. I took a deep breath. "Move the cones, please." She crossed her arms. "If you touch them, that's vandalism of HOA property." Vandalism. "They're cones, Karen." She raised her phone like she was about to call in backup. "I'll report you to the board and the authorities." "Perfect," I said. "Maybe they'll tell you to get a real hobby." I moved the cones anyway. She filmed me the whole time like I was Bigfoot caught on camera. I didn't think much of it until I got back home an hour later. Because now Karen had upped her game. Her little silver sedan was parked sideways across my driveway, completely blocking it. That's when I knew this wasn't just about cones. This was about power. I called the non-emergency police line. When the officer asked what the problem was, I said, "It's a parking issue, but it's about to become a life lesson." 15 minutes later, 2 officers showed up. And of course, Karen sprinted out like she was auditioning for Law & Order HOA Victims Unit. "Officers, thank goodness you're here," she cried. "He's been violating community parking regulations and threatening me." I walked out with my phone. "Actually, officers, I've got video showing her blocking my driveway and trespassing on private property." Karen froze. The officer turned to her. "Ma'am, is that your car blocking his driveway?" "Well, technically, it's within HOA rights to ensure compliance." "Ma'am," the officer cut in, "we're talking about local traffic obstruction laws, not HOA bylaws." Then came the kicker. The second officer asked for her driver's license. She hesitated. "Oh, I don't have it with me." "No problem," he said. "We'll just run your plate." I swear you could feel the air change. A few minutes later he came back with his notepad. "Ma'am, your license is suspended." Her face drained faster than my patience. "It's a clerical error," she blurted. "I only drive short distances for community duties." The officers exchanged that look, the one that says, "We've heard this 1,000 times." "You're not supposed to be driving at all," one said. "We'll have to impound the vehicle." And just like that, her car, her little blockade of power, was hooked up to a tow truck. I leaned on my mailbox, sipped my coffee, and watched karma pull away. For the first time, my driveway was clear, spiritually clear. But here's the thing about Karens: they don't retire. They regroup. 2 days later, she was back. Different car, same vest, same sunglasses, clipboard like a weapon. I was sitting on my porch when she strutted up the street like she owned the zip code. "Good morning," she said sweetly. "Just performing a follow-up inspection. HOA business." I nearly choked on my coffee. "Karen, the only inspection you should be doing is checking your driving record." Her smile twitched. "That matter is being resolved. Meanwhile, I've filed a harassment complaint against you for obstructing HOA duties." I laughed. "You parked across my driveway, Karen. The police literally towed your car." "That was a misunderstanding," she snapped. "This community thrives on respect." I'll be honest, right there for a split second, I wondered if I was the problem. Maybe I had escalated it. Maybe if I'd ignored her, none of this would have happened. I just wanted peace. But peace isn't something Karen understands, because that same afternoon she was back out measuring my grass. Measuring my grass. That's when I knew I had to push back, but not with yelling, with facts. So I did some digging, a little online research, a few polite calls to City Hall. And guess what? Karen wasn't even on the HOA board anymore. She'd been voted out 2 months ago for budget discrepancies. Translation, she'd been using HOA money like her personal wallet. I called the real HOA president Mark, the kind of guy who always sounds exhausted even when saying hello. "Hey Mark," I said. "Quick question. Did you know Karen's outside my house measuring my lawn?" He groaned so hard I could practically hear his soul leave his body. "Oh God, we've been trying to deal with her quietly. She's not authorized for anything anymore." "Good to know," I said, "because she's currently documenting the angle of my mailbox." "I'm calling the police," he said. "Please record everything." 15 minutes later, the patrol car showed up again. Karen launched into her usual performance, claiming I was intimidating her. But this time, the officer, same guy from before, just sighed. "Ma'am, we've talked about this. You're not authorized to enforce anything." She gasped. "That's ridiculous. I have documents right here." She flipped through her clipboard, only to pull out a fast food receipt and a coffee punch card. The officer stared at her. "Ma'am, this proves nothing except that you really like caramel lattes." Neighbors started gathering, phones out. One guy even brought popcorn. It was like a live HOA drama special. And then the second patrol car arrived. This one had a supervisor, apparently when you drive with a suspended license. Again, it becomes a bigger problem. "Ma'am," he asked, "how did you get here today?" She froze. "A friend dropped me off." He pointed to the white SUV parked across the street. "That your friend's car?" "Yes." He radioed the plate. 10 seconds later, his eyebrows lifted. "Ma'am, this vehicle is registered to you." The crowd went silent. Karen stammered. "That's impossible. Someone must have—" "Ma'am," the officer interrupted, "you're aware that driving with a suspended license is a misdemeanor." Her face went pale. She turned toward me. "You did this? You set me up." I shrugged. "Karen, I can barely set up my Wi-Fi. I didn't hack your life." When the officer asked for her keys, she threw them into a bush. "You'll never find them," she yelled. The officer turned to me. "Sir, mind helping us out?" "With pleasure," I said. 2 minutes later, I handed him the keys like they were treasure. Karen's car got towed again, and this time, it was her last stand. A week later, I got a letter in the mail, thick envelope, my name written in aggressive cursive. Inside was a legal notice accusing me of emotional damage and defamation, signed by attorney Daniel R. Kensington. Sounded official, until I looked him up. No such lawyer existed. Karen had invented him. I didn't respond. Instead, I forwarded it to the HOA board. Mark nearly spit out his coffee. "Please tell me this is a joke." "Nope," I said. "She's been emailing members claiming she's reinstated herself as interim compliance director." He groaned. "Sounds like a villain title from The Office," I said. So the HOA scheduled a community meeting. Public, recorded, with a city inspector and the same officer who'd towed her twice. She didn't know that part. When the day came, Karen showed up in full costume, oversized sunglasses, clipboard, and a homemade official badge. She walked in like she was about to deliver a TED Talk called How to Ruin a Neighborhood. "I hope you're ready to apologize publicly," she told me. "Defamation is a serious matter." "Oh, I'm ready," I said. "Let's clear the air." The meeting started. Karen immediately stood up and began reading her fake legal letter aloud, words like emotional degradation and driveway provocation. People tried not to laugh, until the city inspector raised his hand. "Ma'am," he said, "we've reviewed your claims and your supposed title. You're not authorized by the HOA or the city." "That's not true," she barked. I was reinstated. Mark sighed into the mic. "Karen, no one reinstated you. You were removed months ago for misuse of funds." The room went dead silent. Karen's jaw dropped. "Misuse of—" "That's a lie." That's when Officer Daniels stepped forward holding a folder. "Ma'am, the lawyer listed on your letter doesn't exist. Submitting falsified legal documents is a serious offense. Also, we've received new footage someone driving a silver SUV registered to your name last night." Karen's voice cracked. "That wasn't me." "Funny," he said. "We have video of you stepping out of the driver's seat." Every phone in the room was recording. Karen's face went red, then white, then red again. "This is harassment," she screamed, but the officer stayed calm. "Ma'am, we'll need you to come with us for further questioning." Gasps filled the room as she tried to protest. Her clipboard slipped from her hands, papers scattering everywhere, scribbles like grass too smug, and mailbox unpatriotic. The sound of her heels echoed as the officers escorted her out. Mark turned to me, exhaling. "I think it's safe to say your driveway's clear now." That was it. No applause, no celebration, just quiet relief. Because the truth is, when someone like Karen finally falls, it doesn't feel like victory. It feels like silence returning after months of noise. And if there's one thing I learned from all this, it's that karma doesn't need help. Sometimes it just drives a tow truck.